Hello, welcome to this video. Today I'll be going over my round 2 game of the US Go Congress 2019 in Madison, Wisconsin. If you did not see the last video, I lost my first round game, so I'm currently 0-1. Now, if you've never been to the Congress, how they do pairings for each round is even though you're in your ranked division, you still play people of other ranks. So today I played, or in round 2, I played Lu Siyuan, who's a 4-dan. And how it works is, since I lost my game, I'm assuming my opponent for round 2 won his first round game. So they kind of made a 5-dan with an 0-1 record equivalent to a 4-dan with a 1-0 record, is how I think it works. And I believe they do that because some divisions don't have enough players to do that for full 6 rounds, so they have to make sure that somebody always has somebody to play. Now my opponent is another one of the Chinese students from China, so he also spoke very little English. He also, just like my first round opponent, was pretty young as well, but very strong. So yeah, let's get into it. I really wanted to, since I lost my first round game, I was very determined to win this game as well. So I'm white, and same exact opening as my first round, except in my first round game my opponent attached here. In this game my opponent played a Kobayashi, which nowadays is kind of falling out of style because it emphasizes the sides, and in the era of the AIs the sides are not that important because it's very easy to invade later. Plus, it kind of, doing this Kobayashi, it kind of makes the opponent not want to approach directly, because any pincer would be good for black, but there's a new move that AIs have come up with, which I will get into in this game. So I don't approach, I take the 3-3 spot, comes down, and then jump, and then plays this shoulder hit, which is not the biggest move. I want to see black take my 3-3 or enclose his corner. Now the reason why this move is not good is because it's not sente. Even if white goes elsewhere, black needs to defend or descend, white hane, and white's still alive in the corner, and black now has 2 weaknesses to fix. Right? If black fixes this one, white can poke at this one. If black fixes this one, then later white can cut. So it's not immediately sente. This move is very situational. So usually black just leaves it and goes somewhere else. So my opponent went there, so I attach. Now this is the new AI move. Now the point of this is when you attach, it's creates a very local fight between this white stone and this black stone, because there's 3 liberties to 3 liberties. So it kind of negates whatever's on the outside, right? So even though black has these 2 stones here, black will not be able to use them as efficiently or effectively if white, as opposed to white just approaching. So if people play Kobayashi against you, or they do low Chinese, high Chinese, any of the kind of side potential openings, attached to the 3-4 stone, it'll most likely end up good for you. So in the game, my opponent hanes, and you always just double hane, and it's hard for black to really cut this, especially when white has a ladder, right? So black needs to help this side But even if, white could just cut this side. And this would be good for white, even. Yeah, black goes Hane's on this side, white will just scoop out the corner. And yeah, so it's a very annoying move. So this is why Kobayashi and low Chinese, high Chinese isn't seen in professional games anymore. And after the Hane on the inside, white can choose between this one or this one. It's just preference, whichever one white wants, whatever side white wants to build on, white should block. So I blocked on this side because it's the wider side. Black Ataris, and then connects. Now the Honte move would be to extend somehow. Maybe there, somewhere. But I play pretty fast, as in like I like to obtain Yuki as much as possible. So while it's probably as Honte to not play there, but play somewhere around here, even maybe push once and then extend, I attached. If black and double Hane, so you can see attach, double Hane, attach, double Hane. So that's the combination you need to use if you want to play this way. If black cuts, you can see that black cannot capture, white can capture this black stone, so black would need to do something like this. And this is really good for white. If black captures on this side, Atari, it would become a potential ko. Maybe black attaches first and then starts the ko. Something like this maybe. Or black will just fill. And I believe, yeah, white can ladder this stone. And even though black can play a ladder breaker, when white captures here, you can see this upper side group is very weak. So I think in the game, what my opponent did was calm. Yeah. I think maybe he could consider maybe just dropping down. So it keeps this stone solid, but also doesn't hurt this stone. Whereas you'll see in the game, well, I ignored of course, but if I were to just connect, you can see this stone is heavily damaged. It's as if black descended, and let's say white went here, black would wedge in there, which he would not. If white went here, black could switch directions and live in the corner. So I think descending is probably the best move for black. So you can see I'm trying to take Sente as much as possible. Extend and extend. So you can see that this knight's move that black played early on has a very obvious cutting point as well. Hane in the corner, it's a big move. It helps the outside stones and heavily hurts the inside stones. Like look at white here. Compare that to if white gets this Hane. So even though it looks like a small move, white's completely alive and black has defects. Whereas when black takes it, you can see black has no defects in his wall and white's not alive yet. Now in the game I go here, and this is one of those moves that I've just seen so many times that it's the only move I consider. But if we look at the result, I Hane, and I thought this result wasn't bad, but you'll see black's able to capture these two stones, which again I was fine with, because I really like this thickness. But I could have just done the shoulder hit. And you can see I can even Hane, because if black tries to cut, I can take a liberty, and you can see black can never capture these two stones, because if black blocks this way, when I turn, I win this liberty race. But if black goes this way, you can see black's outside is too weak, so black can't Hane here. So black would need to Hane on the second line, but then I can just keep extending. And we have this interesting situation where there is this weakness here for white, black necessarily doesn't want to push through, because let's give black a few more pushes. If black were to push through, oops, and let's say he comes up, well then white can just take out the eye. If black goes here, white can play here and take out the eyes again, which would be pretty uncomfortable, especially if white can come back and live. So black would need to go here, but then white can just live. So by having this liberty, when black blocks here, notice white can't do this one. So if white tries to live, you can see that black can Hane and kill white. Or is it this one? Yeah, I think it's this one, yeah. So because of this liberty, black can kill white in the corner, or white needs to do this one, which would be ko. So there would be this push here, but neither black doesn't want to take it because it would change the life and death in the corner. But you can see that this result's pretty good, much better than in the game for white. Even if, because in the game, I was planning on giving up the corner anyways, so black would just take second line territory and I would have all the influence in the center. Whereas in the game, also if black does this, then white can just shoulder hit. Very similar situation. When I go here, you can see I still get thickness, but if I lose the corner, now black actually has like 5th line territory. So I think the other scenario is better, because I don't lose the cutting stones. But now I come back and connect, now that I know I'm playing a center-oriented game. And black goes here. That's way too small. You'll see black goes here next after I go here. Black should just do this immediately. Because if white wants to push here, white would be solidifying black here while making his group weaker. By pushing here and then going here, I think this would be a wasted move, because this area is still pretty wide open. Then I play this one space jump, as opposed to doing this one. With black Hanes, it's difficult. I could double Hane, but my shape would get pretty ugly. And because this moves Sente, black wouldn't do this, but if white were to go down this branch, you can see I can get cut off. So I would have to go here, but then you can see black would still cut, and there's no cut here. So whenever you do this one space jump, if you don't mind your opponent going here, because I would just back off. So that's why you do the one space jump. Black then attaches in the corner, Hane, connect, poke out the eye, pushes up, and then lives. So black takes the corner, but I still have my thickness, and I just jump again. Black Hanes, if I cut directly, black can cut, or Hane, and if I Hane can cut, and you can see that I'm about to get squeezed pretty badly. And this would be pretty bad for white. So yeah, so that's why in the game I had to go here once. Again, if black just connects, I would connect, and no harm, no foul really. All black did was take away liberties and made white stronger. So in the game, my opponent goes here, and I cut. I don't know if my opponent thinks he was behind, but this seems pretty unreasonable for black. Yeah. Because black needs to extend, and I jump down here. And then I Hane. I should just go after these 3 stones first. This reduction right here should be good enough for me. Should feel good enough, right? So I should just keep trying to attack this group. and then come back to this later. So I think this was a missed opportunity. Oops, I Hane first. Asking what black wants to do. If black Hane's here, which he does, I can poke here, and you can see that if black keeps pushing, I'll be able to capture because I made this exchange. Here. So that was the point of it. You see how black responded. If black protects, I was just going to protect. And this feels... I think this is better than what happened in the game, though, for black. Oops. But black plays strongly. Poke at the shape. Oops, I am getting messed up. Okay, here we go. Here's the game. So I poke through, tiger's mouth, cut, Atari, have to Atari this way. Ataring this way just kills me here, so I need to Atari here. And locally black is dead, right? Black cannot reduce my liberties enough. So, but black extends his liberties, and then me being Mr. Efficient, I was like, oh, I can go here and threaten to kill the corner, blah blah blah. You'll see this move ends up being a humongous mistake. Humongous. I needed to go here. But I don't know. Again, I'm trying my every game. It feels like I'm doing well, and then I just try to be too efficient, and it ends up I end up missing like the obvious move, and you'll see why. So right now I'm thinking, oh, these are dead, so I don't know what black's doing. He's just running me towards his influence. And then he Hane's here, which is the move I did not see. Right? If I block, then he can cut here and capture. Or even do that one. So that would be bad, so I need to connect here. Or I cut. Yeah. Why did I... Yeah, I guess it's the same thing. But yeah, he connected his stones, which means these stones are weak, which means these white stones here are weak. And yeah, I was pretty not pleased with my play. All of a sudden, like, my position on the board is pretty not good. Now there is an interesting life and death situation up here, which I'll get to later. So I cut, turn, jump, attach, plays a bamboo joint. If black ignores, white can clamp, and it's very uncomfortable for black. Yeah, if black goes here, you'll see that all of a sudden black's shape is pretty bad, and white can even extend that out. But even if white just goes here, that'd be a pretty good result for white. Yeah, so black goes here. Oops, black goes here. And by going here, it's harder for me to pull out this cutting stone now as well. And I connect here. Black pokes at the shape, and then I descend. So this is the best way to protect. It's the most efficient way. And this time, the efficient move was actually the good move. Because in this case, it has a big effect on the corner. So we can see, once I do this move, we can see black has this group to worry about. This group, and this isn't clear. White has this group and this group, so it's pretty complicated. And I think both of us were using around the same amount of time. So what I want to see from black is just like Hane here. Force white to connect, and then just come back and kill the top. And I think that's good enough for black. That feels good enough for black, at least. Yeah. By going here, I'm assuming he didn't see that I could descend down. You can see that black cannot cut either. So yeah, I'm assuming he wanted me to like do something like this or something. So then black jumps out, and then I turn, right? We have a weak group here and a weak group here, so the area where they can extend their eye space is a big point to get. white goes down and then goes here. So this is where the game could have gone into complete turmoil. So white looks like white has two eyes, but black can actually turn, and when white goes here, black can go here. And this is when the review might get a little crazy or complicated. I could be missing moves here, so if you want to pause this video or look up the game record, because I'll have that in the description, and figure this out, and you'd grow a level, because this gets very complicated. Because when white extends and white cuts, no matter which way black goes, white can play this one. Yes. And we just start reducing eyes. You can see that does white need to answer? Yes, white does need to answer. We can see that it's going to eventually be Seki, right? So this, I think this is going to be Seki, and I say we because after the game, my opponent and I, even though there's a language barrier, we discussed through going through variations like directly after our game. Now during the game, during the games they don't want you like discussing, like talking about the game after the game, but because we were doing it silently, we went on for like 10 minutes. And we were going through variations, and there was like codes, and I don't remember half or most of what was shown. So this is just what I came up with back at home. Yeah, we somehow got a code there as opposed to just black being dead, and it's just crazy. So yeah, and in that variation, let me go back. This is locally a Seki, but black's not alive in the corner and white's not alive here, and yeah, be pretty crazy. So I still think it's good enough for black. Yeah, so instead of this move, even now just going back and doing this, I think is big enough. It's kind of hard for white to seal all of black in, with this move being Sente. Something like this maybe. Yeah. And as long as this is dead, this means this is at least Seki, but if white can't make two eyes, then white's in big trouble. So I think black thought these stones were weaker than they actually are. So I turn, he blocks, I come down, he extends his eye space, I jump across, and here's another chance black has to just cut his losses and live, right? And we could still have this crazy variation too. But maybe even black goes here to make sure black has two eyes, and then come back. Actually, that doesn't give it two eyes, does it? No, it does not. It'd make it even more complicated when white goes here and throws in, and then although black, maybe it's actually, I think black is okay. Yeah, I think that does get two eyes. But anyways, black just comes back and lives, and white goes here, and black just then reduces white's right side. White has 3 points, maybe 5 points. This isn't alive. Yeah, maybe even black just comes down here. Yeah, this feels pretty good for black because black got this wall, which is going to have a heavy effect on white's right side. And even though white got into black's left side, because I played this, I gave this sacrifice, black's pretty strong here. So, yeah, but black got greedy, I guess. And you can see by cutting across here, before black couldn't cut, right? But once black takes away this liberty, if I ignore, now I don't have enough liberties because black can do this and capture the 4 stones, which would be pretty big. So Yeah. And without that, um, without this move, if black tries to cut, you can see this move doesn't work anymore because white can just Atari. So this move's very important. Oops, he blocks first. Comes down, cut across, nope, cut across, nope, cut across, thank you. And then, so black goes here, which allowed I threw in once, and then jumped in. I think this is when we had like a crazy amount of variations. Starting with black going here, and then this. So if you want to read this out, have at it, cause now look, white's not alive here now too, and black's not alive, and it's crazy. But I'll tell you, during the game, like, I don't know how, like I felt like I was in such a good position. Maybe this wasn't good, but every other decision I made I felt was pretty good. But just like in the last game, or in my first game, like I had like a good position, and it just goes into turmoil. And now it's like a 50-50 game. Whoever reads better wins, as opposed to me just soaring into victory. So this was definitely frustrating. It wasn't super hard because I'm pretty relaxed when I play, but it was hard to try to keep my cool a little bit. My opponent Hane, and then I go here, which protects both cuts, but also threatens to capture. So black takes. Then I Hane. Black plays there and wedges, and then I go here, and he throws in once, trying to like do something with my liberties, but I believe white wins by 1 liberty with this race. Let's see. Because that move is Sente. Yeah. By 1 liberty, white wins this race. Yeah. Plus, yeah, now that if this were to happen, white could actually come back and kill this, or make this ko at least, right? Like, throw in once, and then go here, and it'll be this situation for later. Black has to watch out for that. So yeah, pretty crazy. So at this point, when I connected, my opponent resigned. Yeah. So again, another nail biter, or a nail biter, because my first game was not as exciting. But whenever you have these crazy fights and all this stuff, it's definitely an exciting game to watch, but to play, it's pretty nerve-wracking. And as I said, I was pretty unhappy with my play. But I ended up getting the win. And yeah. So this was my second round game, and I was 1-1. So yeah, I definitely wanted to clean up my play for the next round though. So we'll see if I do that. If you have any questions about this game, please let me know. And I will see you in the next video.